So here we are at the biggest hill I can find, and this comes back into Wakefield from a place called Horbury Bridge. So this is 52 volts, about 16 amp hours, and we're going to get it up this big hill. When I did the trailer test I got it wrong. It's over 112 feet at a third of a mile, so it's far steeper than I thought it was. But you know, I said I'm going to torture this bike, and we've got the trailer on it, and we've got 65 kilos of weight in it. So right at the moment with me on, this weighs 1/4 ton. So let's see how it does getting up this hill. Let's see how this torque sensor does. So before we start, don't be thinking I'm just another idiot who's been sent an e-bike. I build e-bikes, I repair e-bikes, I have over 5,000 followers on Facebook that follow me over 3 different forums. And I modify e-bikes, so modified the Mark 1 Engine Engwe Pro, modified the M20, put a dual motor on it, mid-drive and rear hub motor, and I modified the Engwe Engine X that added a total of 50 amp hours of power and did over 100 miles range. So that's where I'm at. I'm not the usual person with a camper van that's been given a free e-bike. And I don't really need a free e-bike. This one's being given away. I'll explain why at the end of this video. Anyway, let's see how it worked out. So here we go then, like I said, over 100, I think it's 112 feet in a third of a mile to the top, which is, it's pretty hard going. Let's just see how it does. This is a steep hill. I've been up here before with a trailer, but not with this much weight in. And I can definitely feel it. So like I said, at the moment, this bike weighs over 1/4 metric ton. Let's see how it does. I can definitely feel that trailer dragging me around a bit. It's definitely struggling, but with a bit of power in it, a bit of energy, it's definitely getting up this hill. Come on, son, you can do it. So, getting it over here is about 5 miles, and it's about 5 miles back. But it's done it. "52 volts makes a difference." So I brought it out, let's have a look at it. Let's take in what's new about it and have a look at that for a start off before I go off on a proper ride. let's talk about this torque sensor, because they can be a bit hit and miss. But this marries quite well with the throttle. I'm quite impressed by it. And even though I can't see how many amps the bike's drawing, you know for a fact that it's drawing less. So you're going to get better range. You're going to get better range because you've got a 52 volt battery. You know, you can feel that 70, 75 Newton meters kicking in. You know it's there, especially when you hit the throttle. The throttle will take you up to, it cuts off at 20 mile an hour, which is plenty enough. But you can feel it. You can feel the difference in the bike. And I can't see me burning through a 48 battery, 16 ampere like I did on the Mark 1. I feel this is going to be a completely, or it feels a completely different thing altogether. Am I liking it? Well, so far, yeah. You know, what's not to like? Especially after it dragged me up that big hill with like the full weight of the bike, me and the trailer was it was a quarter of a ton. So, yeah. Unlike my present bike, the turning circle's really good. Which is kind of cool. Something that I didn't know I missed until I missed it. So, this is where I camped up last week with the trailer. It's a cracking looking little bike. I like the colour. I didn't like it when I thought it's going to be green. But the more I look at it, the more I quite like it. Get some stickers on there and you're away. Biggest surprise for me so far is that torque sensor. I've done 10 miles so far and I'm still on 5 bars. And I have to be honest with you, although I haven't been going fast, I haven't put a lot of energy into it either. I've put as much into it as I wanted. And that's worked out quite well for me. So let's keep riding it, see what sort of range we get out of it. Let's give you an example of this sensor. If I get some power into it now and then really give it some pasty, you can see that speed building up. I can also feel my legs burning a bit, which you sort of like expect with one of these sensors, but it works really well. It works really well combined with the throttle. So if you don't want to pedal, you just hit the throttle and the throttle cuts in and you're away. Bit of steep hill here, 20 mile an hour, it's getting a pat, no problem. Drop the gears down, put some energy into it. And I'm coming up to 12 miles on this, including pulling that big trailer for 8 miles. And I hope this ain't broke because I'm still on 5 bars. So I brought this down to one of my favourite spots. I don't bring all my bikes here. You don't want them getting jealous, do you? But as you can see, I'm just pottering along at 10 mile an hour. I've done 15.5 miles coming up. I'm still on 5 bars, which, considering what I've already put this through today, it's pretty amazing. Well, the tyres seem to be holding up fine. They're budget Chow Yang, but they're quiet. Not really heard any noise out of them. As you can hear on here, nothing. They're grippy enough. I'd rather have road tyres on because mainly I go on the road and road tyres are fine on here. But yeah. I know this isn't downtown LA and there's no beaches, but it's a lovely day. And it's the last one we've got without rain for 12 days according to the BBC weather. Again, I'm just pottering along past 5 and I'm still on 5 bars at 16 miles in. And like I said, what we have to remember is I pulled that thing up that hill. And that was an 8-mile trip with that on. Wasn't 10, turned out it was 8. There and back, dropped the trailer off, had a drink, it had gone down to 4 bars. Turned it back on, 5 bars. The one thing that this torque sensor encourages you to do is put a bit of effort in. You don't have to put a lot in. You can put it in a high gear and just turn your legs around and it'll do its job. Or you can use the throttle. But I'm getting a lot more out of pedalling. And I'm not pedalling much. I had to pedal up that hill. But I don't know if you noticed, apart from the gravel, there's no rattling. You heard how quiet this bike is. Now this is a step away from the Mark 1, which did rattle a bit. The motor sounds quieter. Again, I'm not putting it under any real stress. I have done. And I will do a bit later on. But ultimately, this ain't bad. Not bad's probably the wrong. It's good. It's surprisingly good. As much as I hate to say it. And I actually quite like the new display. Being a Leeds fan, seeing blue and yellow on there and white. Oh. So far so good. Again, I'm going to check the mileage again in a minute. Well, in a few miles, and see where we are on battery bars, because again, going into the torque sensor and putting a bit of effort in, when I'm just turning my legs, it picks up quite quickly. If you don't want to do that, you can always use the throttle. But yeah, so far, so good. Coming up to 17 miles now, 5 bars. I do love these gears. These are on the original Mark 1. And I don't like those tombstone looking gear shifters, and I do like these quick fire 8 speeds. And it's one of the things I'm going to change over on my other bike and show you how to do it in the next few months, because these are far better. Far better. They're all coming up. Here it comes. Bit of pedaling, 18 mile an hour nearly. You heard how quiet it is. Even with the motor going, listen. It's quite as wispy. So I've just did 18.3 miles and I've finally gone down to 4 bars, which is astonishing. If I was a food drop shopper, Deliveroo, whatever, this is the bike you want. It's got a bit of power when you need it. Lets you put some effort in, get some exercise. And for the price point of $12.99, especially when I've got £4 in my other e-bike, this is really good value for money. So I'm going to throttle it for a bit, try and burn a bit of this battery out. This is quite a steep hill, so I don't know if it's going to need some help. We're sure going to get it that battery. I'm saying that. 20 mile an hour, past 5. And I'm having no problem getting up this hill. Again, have you heard how quiet it is? There's a lot to be said for that not rattling stuff, wondering what is rattling. Still 20, still pulling. And this is a reasonably steep hill. I know I said I don't understand why they do it, but I want to run this battery down and not spend all day reviewing the bike. But 20 mile an hour going up this hill, I'm not pedalling, still. This is really impressive. I don't think my other bike could have done that, even with all that battery on. I think, taking into the weight consideration, it wouldn't have enjoyed it whatsoever. Get some gears down. That was impressive. And there's another hill coming up, and as soon as I've still got 4 bars, I'll be doing the same again. Again, if you put some effort in, it cuts out at 28, but I was going downhill a bit. Yeah, the torque sensor cuts out at 20 mile an hour, so it doesn't matter what you're doing unless you're going downhill. And then, well, again, let's get a little on this. I'd say I weigh 230 pounds and it's dragging me up here like I weigh nothing. There's no more, hardly any motor noise, there's no rattles, and then we're back to downhill again. Put a bit of effort in, slap the brakes, so you've taken the motor off. 4 bars. There's an hill going up by the hospital shortly. Let's see if it gets up there, because that's a really steep hill. I can't believe 20 miles and I'm still on 4 bars. I can't believe that. 20 miles. Look at that. 20 miles and 4 bars still. Some effort in, and they're off. At 28 mile an hour, you feel that motor cut off. It's like, that's your lot. So we're coming up to that really steep hill it was on about. You can see it from here. I'll see if I can get that on the throttle. The only bike that used to make it up there easily was my M20, and that had twin motors on. Rear hub and mid-drive. Let's see if this gets up there. It's burned the battery down a bit. But this is the steepest part coming up here, and I'm doing nearly 14 mile an hour on the thumb throttle. I wouldn't like to take a temperature of that controller right now, but you can see how steep this hill is. 11 mile an hour. And it's still pulling. And I'm still on 4 bars, 10 mile an hour. Should pick up some pace a bit now. Come on, that's impressive. If I was on a normal push bike, I'd have a stroke trying to get up there. 15 mile an hour. I'm still on 4 bars. Just felt that motor cut out at 20 again. As soon as it hits 20, or 28 when you're pedaling it, and that motor just cuts out straight away. There's no sort of like subtle letting you know of it. It just goes. Again, mightily impressive. Another hill. Come on. That's what the throttle does now. No problem. Jesus, what do you have to do to kill this battery? I was like this with my Engwe Engine X when I put that big battery on the back. You know, I was down in Bradford before. Well, I was still on 5 bars at Bradford if I remember rightly. Or at least just clicked out of it. Down to 3 bars now. Let's get some pedaling. So now we're coming back up into town, and by the time I hit town I'm going to have done 25 miles easily, and I'm thinking I'll still be on 3 bars. What I say is you have to remember my weight. You know, with the backpack on, probably near as damn it 245 pounds. So we're coming back up into the centre of town now. It says 23 miles, and I'll pull over in the centre of town and have a look at it. But we're still on 3 bars. 3 bars. No rattles. Can't hear the motor groaning. I'm just turning my legs round and doing 15.9 mile an hour. Gotta admit, I always thought as the Mark 1 is the flagship bike that Engwe sold, and they could sell all the other stuff alongside it. And you know, the Engwe Engine X was pretty good. You know, it's one of my favourite bikes so far. And if what happened to happen to my Mark 1, I'd still be riding it. But this is a different animal. It's a different thing altogether. So I've come back out and we're back on familiar ground. I'm going to do my normal route into town. I've had to come out a bit later, the weather turned, and there's another reason, well, I'll explain by at the end of this video. Finally gone down to 3 bars again. It's probably because it's drawing power at the moment coming up this hill. Actually, yeah, done throttle it up. I've had my dinner as well, so I'm now £250 again from tooth. I'm kidding. But if you hear me burping, it's because I've had chili. So you probably heard me say this before about not pedalling downhill. And the reason for that is that you're just burning energy you don't need to. As soon as you kick that motor in on a cadence sensor, it's drawing power. Well, it's the same with this. And then obviously you dig into it and there you go. It's got a slightly smaller controller in. Not quite smaller by size, but smaller by power. It's no big thing, but how it managed to get this 75 Newton meters out of this smaller controller, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what that controller is doing. Along with that torque sensor, it's stopping you from burning energy. And that's why I'm probably seeing such incredible range with this thing. When I say I'm turning my legs around, I'm putting a slight bit of effort in. It's like being on first gear on a normal bike, maybe second. It's the only way I can equate it to you. Another hill, the hill coming into town. Hills, hills, hills. And then we get upside the hill by the college. Boys and girls, you've got to admit, the range on this thing's incredible. I doubt it's going to drop off like the old Engwe 48 volt Pro, because that last bar just dropped off a cliff, didn't it? Remember? Another hill. Let's go up here on the throttle. I've still got 3 bars left to kill. It's so quiet. Yeah, that's one of the things that I love about this thing. It's quiet. I'm not hearing any noise out of the motor. I'm not hearing anything from the tyres. I'm not hearing any rattling from anywhere else either. Which is Led Plod had a look as he come past. Well, half expecting him to. They all sort of have a glance over, see what's going on, but then I am sort of set up like a camera crew. I love coming through the centre of town. Again, when you put your foot down and put some energy into that torque sensor, this thing flies. I got 30 odd mile an hour out of it going downhill today. You're allowed to do that downhill. .7 miles. So we're going to do the loop through town now, which is another big hill coming up. What are you doing? Turning left, right, oh look, somebody's dead. Pops and bangs. Never made anybody's car faster, ever. You have to wait for a bus for these to change in, well, again I'll click on the brakes to turn the motor off if it's running from the throttle, and then just freewheel. It's using no energy. So another big hill, and let's go that by throttle. And they're off. And there we are. Pretty much 20 mile an hour, another steep hill. Got flat again, so I thought I'd pedal. We've gone down to 2 bars. Oh no, not 2 bars, pretty much 38 miles now in total. That was probably where it's probably going to pop up back to 3 in a minute, because obviously there's some battery sag coming up hills. But it's no biggie, is it?
Yeah.
Let's measure the incline on this one, from top to bottom, or bottom to top. Quite interested to see what this one is. So I've been up and down it, up it 3 times today. Now I'm pretty much 60, and for a big dude I consider myself reasonably fit. And this thing's causing me no problems with the pedalling whatsoever. It's brilliant. You can get a bit of burn if you want a bit of burn. But it's really, really clever. I'm going for that. Yeah, it's really, really clever. It's a very clever bike. There's just a few niggles, and we'll talk about them at the end. about the updates to the frame. There are some. Majorly down on the down stanchion. You can see that in the video here. They've upgraded the connector instead of a pull apart small wire, which was begging to break, and probably did, hence I'm upgrading it to a locking cable. What else have they upgraded? Well, they've upgraded the display, which I really like. It could do with having a wattage output. I'd like to see what was drawing most, and this would teach you how to use the bike more efficiently. Apart from that, there's no major updates. The frame welds look better. I've actually compared it against my original frame, which I still have, broken as it is. So let's get down to the cons first. And there's very few of them. If anything, I'm being picky. That saddle's horrible. And it's partly why I had to stop the review halfway through. The weather turned a little bit. I come on because my bum was sore. But don't mean to say it's not going to work for you. It just doesn't work for me. What's a saddle? You can get a Cloud 9 for 30 quid. The charging port. Now there's a problem there that it leaves itself open to moisture ingress, but you can't redesign a battery for that. And they're kind of stuck with that port, I'm afraid. The welds are far better than they were. I've looked around the welds and they're really good. They're an actual improvement. They seem about 3mm thicker than the welds that were on my original bike. They obviously paid attention to detail after some of the issues they had with the Mark 1 frame. It's pretty much the same frame with a few updates on the Engwe Engine X, which I've heard no problems with the frames on that. The suspension's actually surprisingly good. For what it is, it's surprisingly good. Can't really argue with it. And within that, you can live with it. Personally, I swap it around for air suspension, fork, and air suspension, mid suspension, because I want the bike to fit me not fit the bike. But the bike fits me quite well. You've still got the alloy wheels, which means you're not going to have to be going around tightening spokes every 5 minutes. I have to do the spokes on mine this week when I do the wheels, and it's only done 300 and whatever miles, so I've that to look forward to when I swap that out for Tannis armour and new tyres. So they're good. Like I said, the brakes are good. They're not marked up as Logan, but I think they're Logan brakes, and I love Logan brakes. They're very good, especially on 160 rotors. I'd have liked to have seen 180 rotors, but bike stops fine. If I'm doing a lot of braking, then you're going to get a lot of fade. That 52 volt 16 ampere battery is married with that torque sensor. Reminds me of when I got my Audi 3.2 V6 married with a DSG box. Made for each other. Absolutely made for each other. And so far, it's probably the best marriage of torque sensor and battery I've come across. Like I said, I've ridden a few with torque sensors. I wasn't really a fan, but I'm actually a fan of this. I got some exercise. And I got as much exercise as I wanted. You know, that thumb throttle's always there if you can't be bothered pedaling. But it doesn't half increase the range. It really does increase the range. I like the colour. It surprised myself when I said I liked the colour, because when they said green, like I said, green. But in the light, in the real world, it's a gorgeous colour. I actually like it. A few stickers on that and you're away. What else do I like? I like the new display. The display's fab. Like I said, it's just missing the fact that there's no wattage output on there, so I can't see where I'm drawing my wattage the most, which would help me to improve battery life. It's a good bike. I really can't, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10. I'm not going to give any bike 10, but I'm going to give this 9, and that saddle, like I said, it doesn't fit me very well, even with the perineum slitting, but honestly, apart from that and the charging port, it's all I can really throw at it.
It's a good bike. 9.5 out of 10. It's gotta be. And I did say I'd never deal with Engwe when they reached out to me and said, like, you know, do you want to do a review? And I said, well, what are the parameters of the review? So up on the screen now, those parameters, and I thought, I don't say anything I want. I don't think this goes out to everybody, and I've not been on an embargo waiting for the bike to come out. So there's loads of reviewers reviewed it before. But I wish I'd have sort of kept my mouth shut and bought the bike. But I didn't think I fancied wasting more money on a bike that was going to foul up on me. Long term, nobody knows. I can't say long term this bike's going to be fine, but as it stands at the moment, from what I reviewed yesterday, it's pretty faultless. Currently my favourite e-bike, even better than the one I own, and that's £4 plus. You buy what you buy. I'm not telling anybody to buy this. I've done an in-depth review. So instead of a 15-minute review by somebody that owns a camper van and never actually ridden one before, you've got some expert advice on here, proper expert advice. And blown away, absolutely blown away. So that's it for now. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Oh yeah, what am I doing with the bike? Well, there's an old boy around here that's had his bike nicked. He had an electric bike and he had it for years, and I think it's 36 volt, and it had a like 10 amp hour battery in it. But he used to use it to get to work and back. I'm giving it to him. So I've done a good thing, Engwe have done a good thing, and in that, everybody should be happy. Bye for now.